This episode is brought to you by TwoLinedMusicCutStore.com. TwoLinedMusicCutStore.com is your all-access to culture. Check out cultural merchandise like leggings, hats, mini boxing gloves, and bags. Also t-shirts like hip-hop, nature, rock bands, reggae, and dark fantasy. Fast shipping worldwide. That's TwoLinedMusicCutStore.com. Now let's check out this episode. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Muscle, and this is another Two Line Music Cuts Entertainment Report podcast. And tonight, we have a real special guest in the building. Listen, he's a record producer, a songwriter, a musician, CEO of Sleepy Splue Music, and he's also a member of Ruff Kutt Band. You know, we have in the building today, we have Mr. Nigel Staff in the building today. What's going on, big boss?
I'm here, bro. Thankful to be alive. Giving thanks for life and love and all of that stuff. Can't wait for the pandemic to be over to get back to work, bro.
You understand, you know what I mean? Because it's been we're going towards 2 years now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's epic, man. Nobody could have planned for this, man. Nobody could have honestly said we're gonna be sitting down for the better part of 2, possibly 4 years. Possibly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the longest you've actually been off of the road?
Yes, by far.
Yeah.
There's a point where we're touring 11 months out of the year, easily.
Yeah.
No, we have next year, March will be officially, mid-March will be officially 2 years.
That's
so
wild.
It's epic, right?
Yeah.
Epic.
All right. Let's take it on the Entertainment Report podcast. We like to go from beginning and then bring it right up to 2021. So my first question for you is this. Where did you grow up in Jamaica and what type of child were you?
I grew up in Mandeville, Manchester. As a problematic child, as a I didn't want to call myself a devil, but as a mischievous kid, I destroy everything, and I'd literally like, how does the refrigerator work? Okay, there are 8 screws at the back of the refrigerator. Where's the screwdriver? And literally pull it apart, and I'd sit there and I'd say to myself, I'm gonna get a good whopping for pulling down this refrigerator. Is it worth it? It's like at 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. Yeah, it's worth it. Let me go do it. As a terrorist. Terrorist, yeah.
You were curious, it seems like you wanted to know.
Yes, always wanted to know, and I've always asked a different kind of question. Even Clifton specialist Dylan said to me when I started to work with him in my later teenage years, 17, 18, 19, is like, your mind works differently. Your peers, other people your age in the band, other people your age in the industry, don't have that inquiring mind, that curious mind. Why does this work that way? So if it works that way, why couldn't it work the other way? And if it works that way, why don't you do this instead of that at 17, 18 years old? So, yeah, I've always had a different kind of mind, always. And then my father nurtured that kind of mind. He's the kind of father that would push you to think differently. I remember once he put a glass of water in the middle of a table. It was half the water. And he said, I'm going to come back in an hour. You tell me about this glass of water. When he came back, he said, tell me about the water. I said, a glass of water on the table. He says, no, you're not ready. I'm going to give you some more time. I'm like, okay. And at the end of that lesson, it was a glass of water, half empty, half full. It was too close to the table, so you could probably bounce it off. There was no coaster under it. And it was cold water, so you saw the condensation. And I was like, wow, you saw all of that? And it's like, yeah, because I pay attention. You need to pay attention. So that was something my father, especially, he nurtured in me. He always had me asking the questions and challenging him. even to the point he says, don't take my word for it. If you don't agree,
Mhm.
you don't agree, but be able to articulate what you don't agree and have a series of points and there must be a succession to your thought process that you're able to articulate. Yeah.
That makes sense there. Go further, think deeper, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Try
think
to
deeper.
Mhm.
He says sight is different from vision, hearing is different from listening, that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. Mhm.
You get it 100% there. So growing up, what did you
Yeah.
think you were gonna be? Where did you think you're gonna be? A doctor, lawyer, accountant? What do you think you're gonna be growing up?
I always knew I was gonna be a musician. Always.
Mhm.
I remember at 8, 9 years old, I was dreaming about being on a stage, but I never knew what it was. I've seen the lighting, the cans, I've seen the stage. I've literally be standing backstage on a stage with tens of thousands of people. And I'm like, what is this? I've never seen this before. It was, to me, it was at that time like a vision, like, where the hell am I? What is this? But I always knew that I was that kind of person. As a kid, I was always around instruments. All my family members play at least one instrument proficiently, yeah.
Mhm.
My brother and I play more than one instrument. Um, my parents wanted me a lawyer. Well, in my late years, I realized that they wanted me to kind of do that and quote unquote have something to fall back on.
Mhm.
But it was always a chatterbox, and I always had my own opinion. So the natural course of things was to become a lawyer. Actually, started UA, um, enrolled in econ and management to switch to law.
Mhm.
That lasted like what 3 months, and then I kind of stretched over 2 years because within 3 months I was on tour. I was
Mhm.
touring, so um, the balance between school and music, the disparity and the switch priority
Mhm.
of what was taking priority, which was the music, took its hold, and the disparity between the two of them just got wider and wider, and then it just ended up there.
Got you.
Mhm.
Music. You say that you play several instruments. What instruments do you play?
Well, I'm a drummer. My first instrument was drums.
Drums.
That's my genuine love, and Jeremy can tell you, I'm a major part of the reason why he plays the way he plays. He said it so many times on so many interviews, said
Mhm.
it to me and the other members. Nigel has taught me stuff that I resigned myself to being impossible.
Mhm.
And so yeah, drums are my first instrument. Um, but everybody else in my family plays keyboards and
Mhm.
pianos. So that was my second instrument. And then I play guitars as well. I'm not as proficient on guitars,
Mhm.
but I understand the instrument on the level. I mean, one of the things I should have done during this pandemic was to pick up my guitar.
Mhm.
But I think I'm on the other side of the industry now where I'm doing more of the business,
Mhm.
understanding the game, even though I understand it very well. That's always fluid. That's always dynamic.
Mhm.
Um, and just navigating the whole pandemic and trying to trying to trying to make the proper calls, the informed calls as what's gonna happen in the next 6 months,
Mhm.
kind of thing. But yeah, those are my instruments. But keyboards is not my main instrument because kind of what happened in high school.
Mhm.
When I got to high school, I made the switch, and it was a switch out of necessity
We mean.
rather than okay. So when I got to high school,
Mhm.
um, Manchester High School, big up MHS for life. Yeah, so MHS had a senior band and a junior band.
Mhm.
So when they were having auditions for the junior band, because I was in first form, which is grade 7,
Mhm.
um, they held auditions, and junior band is from grade 7 to grade 10, grade 9, sorry. Yeah. And that's like first form to third form.
Mhm.
Um, there were like 6 drummers. And I was like number 7 in that whole set of people who were auditioning to be the drummer.
Mhm.
At the end of the audition, and we're all proficient musicians at the time as high school students, just doing our thing. And you guys, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. We realized that there was no keyboard player, bass player, guitar player, drummers, guitar players,
Mhm.
bass players, no keyboards. I'm like, I can't play keyboards. They're like, you playing? I'm like, I don't want to play keyboard. I want to play drums. So, I mean, I think that was the first time I was like manifesting that I'm the team player, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I play keyboards and saying to myself at the time, yeah, by the time I get third form, a lot of these third formers and second formers will have transitioned into the senior band. And I can more or less go back to playing drums. Did I know that that wasn't going to happen? Because um, I kind of excelled in playing keyboards like that. And it was history after the rest is history.
Yeah. You basically made the choice right there. And
Yes.
that's right down the rabbit hole from right there.
Yes. No turning back. No turning back whatsoever. So as I said to you, and I'm sure you've spoken to Johnny, and they'll tell you the things I'll tell you about a drum and how to play the drums and what you can do and all of that stuff. Groove, and I'm a drummer.
Mhm.
I am a drummer. From day one, I'm a drummer.
Mhm.
But as I said, out of necessity,
Mhm.
came a keyboard player. And apparently, I'm really good at it.
Mhm. So high school, you did keyboard and everything. So then, when you left high school, now what was the first professional thing in the music business you're looking towards?
Well, when I left sixth form, came straight to Kingston. My sisters were already at the university. By this time, they were doing their master's degrees. They were on campus, and I came to Kingston. And I came to Kingston the end of August 1989.
Mhm.
And by October, Ruff Kutt was formed. So, it was a matter of literally of weeks
Mhm.
of coming to Kingston, getting on campus, learning the bus route from Half a Tree to Mona and back. Just basically just saying, okay, I remember there kind of thing. So, Ruff Kutt being formed. So yes, that was the first thing that happened. Also, I made a lot of rounds at Excelsior Community College,
Mhm.
where you had people like Dennis Rushton, Lenky Marsden,
Okay.
and I was like the new kid from country. This guy's just so great. He's like, where's this kid come from? He's just so wicked, kind of thing. So that was it. That was just me jumping head into the pool of the entertainment industry, the music industry, as soon as I got to Kingston.
Mhm.
So that's it.
And how do you connect with Ruff Kutt, and who do you connect with Ruff Kutt in the first place? Who was the first?
Okay, so Owen Williams, we call him Capo.
Mhm.
I think at one point he was in the Bahamas. I haven't seen him in forever.
Mhm.
He was the one. He used to go to the Cartridge College. So he and I used to par from high school days.
Mhm.
And he came to Kingston before I did. So when I got to Kingston, he was one of the persons that you link up with days after you get to Kingston. And he used to hang out at the Aquarius hangout spot in Half a Tree, where all the musicians, all the top acts from the 5 o'clock in the evening, Bursam on the Half a Tree.
Mhm.
Sagittarius on the Half a Tree. Really gives the Half a Tree. The name again, past the country on the left hand side. What a group, the name again?
Mighty Diamonds.
Mighty Diamonds. All of them were in Half a Tree.
Mhm.
And so one Friday evening, he came on campus. It was on Taylor Hall. He came and said, yo, Dr. Paul, who at that time I worshipped like Jesus himself, that's like my God of music,
Mm-hmm.
he said he's making a new band. I told him about you and he wants to meet you right away. And I'm like, what? We just jump on a bus. We would literally walk from Taylor Hall, go through the back of your hospital, go up, write a puppy, and take a bus, go straight to Alpha Tree, walk across the bus park and go straight to Aquarius. And I'm like standing in front of Dr. Paul, I'm like, oh my God, see the money, man. See the money, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of weird because most musicians like really rated Derek Barnett. My mentor was Paul Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Man, can't tell him I'm worship Paul like God himself. Yeah, man, can't tell you.
What was it about Dr. Paul that you really admired so much?
When he played the music and you looked at his face, his idiosyncrasies,
Mm-hmm.
felt the music. It's like somebody making love to music.
Mm-hmm.
Derek was more the showman and he did all the antics and stuff, but when Paul played a bass line and the line drop, when the beat drop, yeah, but when the beat drop and the low end drop, you're like, damn, and the man when him play him line and you look at the expression on his face and the accents on the notes and how face changes with I was like, this man is like the best thing ever. Like, wow. So that's I tell you earlier. I saw those things that others never saw.
Mm-hmm.
He felt the music, and whether he was performing and he never really felt it the way he did,
Mm-hmm.
it was transmitted to me that way. And I was like, yo, this man is great. And then on top of that, that man taught me some serious life lessons, some serious business lessons, some serious big brother lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said it in some simple sentences. Like he says, never worry about the money.
Mm-hmm.
When you master your craft, the money will come.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of musicians today that are worried about the money, but they really can't play properly, and then everything will fall into place. Just simple things like that. And I'm sure it was coming from incidents he may have had earlier in the day or 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
He shared them, and I got them, and I'm eternally grateful for them now. I mean, we don't speak much because he's that's another side of Paul Hamilton that's very unpleasant to me because I rate him and love him so much.
Mm-hmm.
I rate and love that man so much so that when he left that band, when he left Ruff Kutt, and the way he left Ruff Kutt, and the fact that me and him par and perform and run the streets, everything together, and not even a phone call, no access. That hurt. That was like that was like the most hurtful thing that happened to me in the industry. When
Okay.
he just lock off, and I don't think I've ever forgiven him for it.
Mm-hmm.
I look at him different for it, but I get it. But that really cut me to the core. Like that was a deep gashing and gaping wound.
All right, let's even go back before that though, because let's go to how this started to how you guys even got down there, because now you linked up with Dr. Paul. Who else was in Ruff Kutt at this time here when you got there?
All right, I like to tell people that Ruff Kutt audition was like the longest audition ever. Because to me, even when Paul was in the band, it was a learning process. And to me, the real Ruff Kutt started when Donovan Bell Nevis started to play bass. And this doesn't negate or take away from all that Paul did, all that Joseph Ballyhooly did, all the other persons who came and were part of Ruff Kutt's history.
Mhm.
But for me, it was just part of the learning process. Because for me, making a band is not about picking the musicians for the musicianship.
Mhm.
Music is a lifestyle. It's way more than an art form.
Mhm.
And I play Jamaican music so well. I play dancehall so well because I live dancehall. And there's so many musicians that play the same exact notes that I play for the same exact rhythm. But when I play them, magic happens. When Jummy plays those drums, magic happens. Jummy looks clumsy doing everything else, but he's so graceful on drums. It is remarkable. If you ever see Jummy play football, you drop a grum and you roll for days.
Yeah. Mhm.
But when he goes around the drum, the trap set, magic happens. Yeah. So so basically it was a long audition.
Mhm.
So the musicianship is one, gelling as musicians, understanding the culture and how you live
Mhm.
and why you do what you do, which affects the feel of what you do. That was also involved. The downtime when you're not actually on your instruments and how you relate to each other, how you navigate arguments and quarrels and fights, how you defend your brother and your sister when you're on the battlefield, so to speak. All of those things took time. So there are quite a few musicians. When I say quite a few, it's not really a lot, but there are a few musicians that passed through and spent a minute with Ruff Kutt.
Yeah.
And you cannot erase them from history, but they were integral.
Mhm.
They were integral, but really Ruff Kutt form when Donovan Bell Nevis entered the picture and made it happen. And I'll tell you why. The section and the session with Paul Hamilton was a great learning experience. It was epic.
Mhm.
But a lot of our creativity was stifled because Paul had us through a rigorous system, which is good. I don't mind rigorous systems. I don't mind conforming.
Mhm.
And that was how we learned dancehall in its present form. I mean, big up to Rhythm Kings. Those guys are like real big brothers,
Mhm.
fathers, grandfathers, everything in one.
Mhm.
But there came a point where, as kids, as the representatives of the young popular culture, we had other ideas to build on that were going to innovate and change and revolutionize and cement things that were already being done, because it's a continuum, you know.
Mhm.
And Paul was adamant that we were not to break away from that. And so it was literally a war. It was literally a war between him and as like the mischievous kid who's like, don't play that tonight, you know. And he comes out to Paul and I play it. And he's like, I told you not to play it. And I'm like, yeah, but I played it. What? And that was it. And when Paul left and we were finally able to do the kinds of arrangements we love,
Mhm.
the kind of experiments we wanted to try based on that foundation knowledge that Paul himself had given us,
Mhm.
it was magic. So I just want to say I don't want to negate the history of the band, but for me, Ruff Kutt became Ruff Kutt when Donovan Bell Nevis joined and we are saying, yes, this is the sound that everybody's comfortable with and all of the kinks were worked out and we were like, quote unquote, ready for the world. Because even when we were touring with Shabba, you know, we were executing and we were learning things. But I think we were really ready for the world when that final piece came in.
When it started there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with even Ruff Kutt, was Ruff Kutt your first band that you were a part of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Outside of my school band,
Yeah.
professionally, Ruff Kutt. And at one point, I was playing for 7, 8 bands. I was playing for Early and the Beer Essentials, Morris Code. I was playing for Junior Reid. As like a musical prostitute. I was like, and I wouldn't even say I'm a prostitute because prostitutes get paid for what they do. I just any pan knock, I'm there, and I'm like, yup, I'm ready. Let's do this. So, but Ruff Kutt is the beginning of my professional career, hands down.
Right there. And was Ruff Kutt was, I read somewhere, I think Junior Reid was actually the first person that you flew out with.
Yes, he's my first professional trip. We went to Toronto, Canada. It was the first thing we did. Paul Hamilton called me that similar Friday evening. Never even called me because them time we have beep on Peter. Me round Paul. Me a follow Paul like a groupie. Yeah. And Paul say, Junior Reid, I'll make you meet him and I look for a keyboard player. I asked him, I said, keyboard player? I mean, a Ruff Kutt, the man say, eat the food, brother. And as a keyboard player, you need to develop separately from the band because your development separate from the band is going to enhance the band. And meet with Junior and Junior said, we can set up an audition for Monday. When Junior Reid drive off, when I like a blue car, I think it was a Carino. And he says, so what you're going to do is you're going to listen to every Junior Reid song over this weekend and learn them like the back of your hand. And Monday, you're going to go into that audition like you don't know them. Because he already thinks you're an uptown kid. I come from Bel Air, you don't know nothing about dancehall, you just can't play. And I went to that interview and did exactly as Paul said and blew everybody's mind. Spent my whole weekend learning Junior Reid songs. And I went in there like I didn't hear a Junior Reid song before. And listened to the song, kind of faked, kick it all, okay, and just played it like fucking prodigy. And that's how I got that gig. And I learned a ton of things from Aaron Lee from the Beer Essentials like that. Derek Stewart, Beer Essentials. My history of mentorship and guidance from all of these musicians is epic. And the only thing I did was to be available. I just there every day to just suck up everything like a sponge. And they saw that. I think that's why they gave me so much info. Because they saw that genuine love and that gleam in my eye, like, yo! Yeah, so that's that.
That was your superpower, was being available was your superpower.
Yes, I would say that. I think my superpower was paying attention. Paying attention. I think in my whole entire life, that theme resonates. Paying attention. Paying attention. I've always paid attention. And it's never born a sour tasting fruit. It's always been fruitful.
Makes sense there. All right, you went on tour with Junior Reid. You did all your stuff there. You came back. What was your first movements now with Ruff Kutt the band? And now you guys are formed. You guys are ready to do stuff. What was your first movements with the band?
Well, within a week, remember, Ruff Kutt was formed out of a necessity for more musicians who play dancehall. Because at the time you had Sagittarius and you had Rhythm Kings, two top dancehall bands. You had 809, you had Lloyd Parks, top reggae bands. They fight over Dennis Brown and Gregory Isaac's work. The scenario in dancehall is, and I don't want to go too deep, but I'm going to go deep. So, and this is why I tell you that music is a way of life. So, geographically, the Caribbean, especially your Jamaica, your Trinidad, your Haiti, your Bahamas, transshipment points from South America to North America.
Mhm.
And we know South America have the cocaine, the weed, the LSD, the heroin. So a lot of these trips that are made with these illicit, these whatever you want to call them, yeah.
Mhm.
Make a stop in the Caribbean. And a lot of people in the Caribbean are making money from it, but it's dirty money, money that needs to be laundered. Also, based on our political history, we have a lot of garrisons and a lot of dons. And by default, the garrisons, the dons, the leaders, the politicians, whatever, not pointing fingers, it's just reality.
Mhm.
We now get deep, but we get deep. So a lot of money is being made, and it's dirty money. How do we launder this money? How do we wash this money? The politicians have a lot of dons who take care of the communities. And within that, you have a lot of social development programs. And a lot of the social development programs hinged on entertainment and sports. So you had everybody wanted to play cricket, everybody wanted to play football, everybody was a DJ, everybody was a singer. So in each community, your matches in your Tivoli, your Bakto, your Rima, your Jungle, your whatever, your this, your that, your that. You had your community stars, you had your community potential. And as the era done for Garrison X, I'm sitting on $500,000 US, 200,000 US dollars, million US dollars of transshipment money as the broker between North and South America. So how do I do that? I look around and I notice that every week I keep a social event and the place ram. And I know that you, Muscle, in our next garrison do the same thing. And John Tom will do the next thing, man. Jane Doe do the same thing. And we all link for that transshipment link anyway. And we realize that if we can do this on a larger scale and justify it by showing the videos and the ticket receipts and all of that stuff, we can legitimize this money. I put on a show, I put on a festival, and it made X amount of money. The trick is though, the money was already made. So I'm gonna say it's $100 to come in, and there are 40,000 people there. Really and truly, none of these 40,000 people paid, or maybe 2,000 out of the 40,000 people paid. But it's a ram stage show, and I pay the artist X and Y, and I do this, and I put the stage and sound and lights and whatever, this and that. And then I said I made 400,000 US off it. Now, that was happening to the point where you had 2 and 3 different shows every single week somewhere in Jamaica. 52 weeks times 3 shows easily. Easily. And there were 2 bands. And it was so hectic to the point where Rhythm Kings would start a show, do half of it, and go to a show that they were going to finish, while Derek Barnett and Sagittarius started that same show and were going to finish the show that Paul and Rhythm King started. So there was a genuine need for another band that could do that. And I must also tell you that in that time as well, okay, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be like Third World, Blood Fire Posse, Chalice, Aswad, Steel Pulse. So as a musician, I wanted to function in this industry as a musician. I was thinking about backing no artists.
Okay.
Neither was Dean Fraser. As a matter of fact, the Dean Frasers and your light parts were like, this is not even real music. This is boogie, this is boof buff, this is boop boop. You know, nice. The guy's not on key. This, that. And they're saying soca fucker too. And we're not gonna sell out our culture for soca culture. And this is debauchery and the whole works. Nigel at the time was playing for Bear Centers and Ruff Kutt and this band and that band. I was like, yeah, just let me play, let me just learn everything. So that was the landscape that I entered.
Mm-hmm.
And so very shortly after Ruff Kutt was formed, Paul was giving us shows because he had way more shows than he could physically handle. Sagittarius has way more shows than they can physically handle. And that was the innovation of Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Paul is saying, let me find another unit, another 2 units, whatever it was. But you can't leave out Colin White. Nachilus. Bless up yourself, Nachilus. Nachilus and Paul were like high school friends, Mandeville.
Mm-hmm.
And Colin is the more reserved and timid kind of person. He always wanted to play in a band, but he just never had that risk takers mentality. He was like, what if? So after working at the bank for years and kind of settling himself, it's like, yeah, I really want to be a musician. So he actually came to Paul with the idea. And Paul is saying, this will be good because I have so much work. And Colin, if the truth is to be told, Colin is the person that came up with the concept and the idea of Ruff Kutt and the name of Ruff Kutt. Colin Everton White, Naturalist, bless up yourself. So we as I said, we jump off in the pool and we're getting all this work. We're not even prepared for the work, but there's work for us to do, and we have to rehearse, and rehearsing as understudies of Rhythm Kings.
That's how you guys started.
That's how we started.
Hit the ground running right away.
Hit the ground running, and the demand for the band versus the supply was like, wow. Wow.
Back then. So you're doing all your stuff there. I know that there's a lot of pivotal moments in your career. Ninja Man's a pivotal moment. Shabba's a pivotal moment. There's so many different. Walk us through them piece by piece. Give us the Ninja Man moments, the Shabba Ranks moments, the Beenie moments, the Bounty moments.
All right, so at one point we're in Ninja Man's band because when things got bad with Paul and Rhythm Kings, we were smack in the middle of it. There's a point where the guys in Rhythm Kings were like physically stepping to us. So we're gonna fuck you kids up. What the fuck you doing? Kind of thing. Louise Fraser Bennett. She's loyal to Paul. She's like, wherever Paul is, I am. And if Paul says these guys are good, these guys are good. And Ninja Man and Louise Fraser had that kind of relationship, that kind of thing. I think she was managing them. She's like the sound system operator kind of thing. President of sound system operation, whatever thing. And so, but by default, we got Ninja Man's work. And we started to do a lot of shows with Ninja Man. And, you know, binary opposites play out hard in dancehall. So it's Shabba, Ninja, Bounty, Beenie, Cartel, Movado. So there came points where we were going to have to play for both artists. And there's a long-standing rivalry with Shabba and Ninja. There are many different tiers to it. But when Specialist and Mabsy started to manage Shabba, there were critical shows that were coming up because Specialist is just a guru, it's a god, man. Yeah, man. So all these shows that were happening and all these shows that were garnering the international attention, was critical that Shabba performed well. Ninja wasn't signed to anybody. And it was so critical that they were saying if these guys play for Ninja good and not for Shabba good, go fuck them up. We didn't know this at the time. We just love music and we have played music. And that's what Paul said. Play the music, a musical play. Not really play people, not get involved in the politics. So if you're gonna play for this person, you're gonna play the best for that person and for that person. It don't matter their status or whatever. So when we played for Shabba and Ninja and Shabba, Shabba take the show then. They're like, whoa, these kids are really good and they're really honest. And they even confessed to say, we had time when if they did ever play a ranky, we kill or no. So we were like, yeah, really? But that was that. And I think that was the first real instance of the purity and honesty of what Ruff Kutt does. We just play music. And Shabba Ranks, rest is history, Sony did a show in Miami, and 2 gold records later, all of that stuff. That's that. We're trying to get this as concise as possible, right? So, don't kill it.
How about this then? With Shabba, when was the first time you actually went into the studio with Shabba now? Because I know you did the live stuff. When did you go into a studio with him now?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one to remember. For years, I was never physically in the studio with Shabba. Like, he wasn't there. Like, they're there. We've been making a rhythm, like specialists that make a rhythm, or we did it with Steely and Mentoy and play 2 phrases and thing, and then lo and behold, Shabba is on the rhythm. So it was way down before we started to like actually see Shabba in the studio. Like the first time I remember Shabba was in the studio was when we were doing Mr. Loverman with Chevelle, because the Bruce Glasgow did that record originally, and she died. So they had Mikey Bennett had recut the vocals, and Soji was mixing the record, and as they're all night, and as he mixed the record, he says, "I want a phrase here." You see, Segrisha Hamilton, Soji, that's our next man way. Soji's a man way. Made me understand sound and sound in relation to where I am and how it must function. So we do like a sound check. This is just a side. We do like a sound check, and we're ready, and the man I go for food. I must say, Staff, you can't go stay. And I'll be around the keyboards, and he says, so in the second verse of Bad Man and Wicked in Bed, what do you play there? And I have to sit and think about it and reach my mind and say, okay. And it says, that sound is too loud. Go into the keyboard and turn it down. And go into the pages, and I want you to take off some low end. You want to do a high pass filter. And that I'm like, huh? I'm like, yeah, man, go in at the thing and look and tell me what you see. And if you have the microphone way out in the front, and I'm saying, yeah, man. All right, save that. What you see? We say, when I play a keyboard, man, figure out how you save the thing, brother. Yeah. And that's why my catalog of sounds are so special. And it's hard for me to deviate from them because they've stood every test of time. So yeah, I'm in the studio with Soji mixing the record. Mikey Bennett is there. Chevelle voicing, shower posture. I'm like, yeah, well, going with that, kind of thing. And that's how we really started to make records and be a part of records, being a musician, to getting your credits, to being an actual songwriter. Because remember, I never had any intention of being a songwriter. I never had any yeah. Yeah. That's just functionality. I'd no intention of being a record producer. I just wanted to play live in a performing band, not a backing band.
Mhm.
I wanted to be the next third world. I wanted to be the next Chalice. I wanted to be the next Aswad. And that's how Ruff Kutt was. We had our lead singer, we had all of that stuff. But because of the demand and the supply and what is required and how we should function, that's how Ruff Kutt became a backing band. And that's why I tell the younger generation and these kids that are into music, you have to tailor what you're doing to the marketplace. Because the marketplace that we were at dictated the changes that we made as a band. So I became a songwriter because that's what the marketplace required. I became a producer and an arranger because that what was required of me at the time. And I put down the showman thing. We were opening up for Shabba Ranks on stage, Prince Midas, and we would do like a nice 15-minute set and wreck the place. And then them say introducing Shabba Ranks, and when you went to a Shabba Ranks concert, you were like, damn. People come backstage, aren't you guys signed? You guys should do your own record because we're that good. But very soon, as Shabba's career skyrocketed in record time, we got to perform less. We're doing like 3 songs at a private Michael Jackson party. And we're at Glam Sam with Prince.
What?
And Prince, and yeah. And we're doing 2 nights there. And Prince is at both nights and he's watching us. And in past, I say, you're really good. And I'm like, the boss said we're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Prince Madness, I see you. I told Johnny Gill about you because we're that good, but we just got immersed into it. So as a backing band, as a producer, as a songwriter, it's because of what the market required. When Shabba pull up, first of all, we and Dr. Paul pull up. And that was, as I said, that was the most hurtful thing I can remember. I think the 2 most hurtful things that happened to me that I can remember off the top of my head was how Paul dealt with leaving the band and when Colin got stabbed up by the promoter in Westmoreland. Yeah, those were the 2 most gut-wrenching things in that section of my career. So when the whole gay bashing thing and Shabba took the rap for it and Boom Bye Bye, sung hard in the core and the whole thing. We came back to Jamaica as top musicians who did Arsenio Hall, David Letterman. You know, we were touring everywhere in the world. It was so bad. We'd gone a 2-month tour, a 1-month tour. And by the end of that month tour, the circuit that we're finishing is rebooked to start again.
Yeah.
It was so good that we did Beacon Theatre. We started the first year we did SOBs in New York. The second year we're doing Beacon Theatre. We did 2 shows that night. And there were so many people outside. They were literally trying to pull off a third one. They were literally trying to pull off a third one. That's the level of growth, and that was the demand and the vibrance of the music and everything. So when all of that kind of imploded, I wouldn't want to say implode. Implode is the wrong word. And when all of that kind of came to an abrupt end, came home to Jamaica. We did it all. Nobody knew us.
Because you guys were more on the international stage at that time. There.
Right. And we did it all. And between 1990 and 93, They never saw Jamaica. Came back to Jamaica. The core people never knew us again. But at this time, we had a club in Ligani, right in Sovereign Center, called the Mirage nightclub.
Mm-hmm.
And that club single-handedly nurtured all of the golden age of dancehall, because it was in that club all of the top performers honed their craft. All of those bad stage shows. Because what happened is you had to perform 45 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you name Vegas, whether you name Spragga Benz, whether you name Frisco Kid, whether you name Beenie Man, Capleton, whoever it was. This was you presenting yourself and your quality. You might have one hit song, you know, but you have to go figure it out
Mm-hmm.
and think. And if for some reason they thought that you never made the grade,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have an extra opening act. So on any given night, you'd have Beenie Man headlining, and then you have Tonto Metron, Devante, and Liquor Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And Liquor Kirk will give you a nice 15 minutes. And Tonto and Devante will give you a nice half hour. And Beenie Man will give you a nice hour. And Tonto Metron and Devante I can put some heat, you know, under Beenie Man's skin, you know. If you don't know what I'm doing, you know, and pick him show properly. People walk out and say, you know, the Tonto them go hard on Beenie. That was the school that we were in, brother. And so single-handedly, Mirage honed everybody's craft. And as a band, we got to learn everybody's set list, got to learn the personality, because that's the difference with Ruff Kutt, you know. We know the artist. And we know the artist's song. We know the artist's baby mother. We know who broke the artist's heart. We know who won the artist a war. We know which producer I'm voice for, which producer I'm a voice for. That's why I say I live the music.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying? So, Bling Dog don't start with a chorus. But his first 4 lines are always so pointed. It come like a chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his style. Spragga Benz sound like the girl them downtown. Where of course, but my girl, come on. Them sound like the girl them downtown. Frisco Kid. So you live the, we know the song, then we know everything about the artist. So we know them personality. We know them writing style, everything. And we learned a lot of that and cemented a lot of that at the Mirage nightclub. But what happened now is, remember you don't have the internet and the social media, you know.
Mm-mm.
But because there were so many live shows, when we were able to hone a Spragga Benz show, for example, or a Vegas show, for example, or a Beenie Man show, for example, 2 tours, you start all the Caribbean dates, you start going down the island, and you start go diaspora, you start go New York and Boston and Philly. And worse, the promoter them know it from Shabba days. So you understand that the market just come back in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to big up Rodney Price now. Because Killer single-handedly endorsed Ruff Kutt. Rough them up, Ruff Kutt. Him single-handedly endorsed. And Shabba, you have to hear this, but Killer gave us that special attention. And we can't fault you for not giving us. We're not saying you didn't, but I just saw it play out. You were so ahead of the game in Jamaica. You were so international. And that was the kind of always being out of the island versus the pro.
Yeah.
So when Killer embraced us and said Ruff Kutt, and we started to cover Killer, because Killer and Beenie at it, and Killer Killer no have a buns, but Beenie have a buns. I want to tell you, say, the real rift was started with we and Shabba, was the same Louis Fraser Bennett, put out an article in at the Star saying, Ruff Kutt is bound to kill a band, formerly Shabba Band. And Shabba was livid. You understand what I say to you? Yeah. So, very quickly, we were bound to kill his band. Because we stopped tour with Shabba 93. 93, yeah. And by 94, we are Killer Band. And in addition to being Killer's band, we know everybody's show. And we're at the place where we can play a Beenie Man show. Even though we've never played for him since we hooked up with Shabba, because Mandela concert that we play.
Yes.
For Beenie Man, we're missing a green arm over there. So. When they hear Frankie Campbell say him did up on stage, I'm just laugh to myself and I say, why you trying to write history? Rewrite history like but
Ruff Kutt.
It was Ruff Kutt. And Prince Midas did sing, gonna break these chains around me, and the whole place level. Anyway, the Bounty Killer says Ruff Kutt's my band. We started to tour Killer. Because Killer and Beenie rivalry hot and hot wax ready man, this ready man, that and Beenie come to me and say, yo, Star, Killer take over band. And I say, Beenie, leave me alone, no, man. I'm Blaze, man. I'm not my bands. And I say, Killer, I want to Beenie, man. Everything you have in mind, him take your melody, then. Him take your style, him want your bands, him love off your girl, then. And there. The first time I got tour with Beenie, man, I locked down the bus about 6 hours and no man not say a word. Walk up on the bus. First day at 2, I drive out. I'm just going back and say, Beenie man, I'm telling you this. Killer, I'm a DJ, yeah? Work with a word though. So we're going to have a great tour. But you're not a DJ. I know your state. You want everybody glorify you and wait. Killer, I'm a DJ. I'll fuck up some show now and go straight to my bunk. And the man them to stop even the man that me I said, brother, I can't do that line something, you know. I suck up to artists something, I can't do it, you know. I just some stay. And Killer that good run 94 to 2000. Good run. And I think the best part of if I was to pick something as the greatest thing with the Ruff Kutt Bounty Killer synergy was us mastering overtures.
What do you mean by that?
The intros that Killer did before he actually came on. Michael Jackson called you Thriller. And when the band played those and set the stage and the precedence for the artist to run out,
you
take the show from the song. You could have run out and sing Mary Had a Little Lamb. With Killer's energy and aggression and our aggression. I remember we learned dancehall right. You know? I think that us being able and we'll make intro for Spragga, we'll make it overtures for this person and that. And it just became Ruff Kutt was the band that just had all the bad intros. I remember once I made an intro for Killer. You know, Killer work with 5,000 man, right? And you know the intro and we play the thing and every man I say, yo, this one. And Killer say, yo, so I would have met that for Michael Jackson. Good. We are set to the man and then I pop. And our Jummy I get vexed because Jummy like the overture, you know. And Jummy I say, man, I was stuck in a one way, you know. Now, embrace change and thing. And I say, you know, it's the killer, right? And Jummy all start get annoyed with me. They must say, then you come up with the idea with the intro, brother. Or you just are switching on me there. I said, no. Lock your eye and listen to where I play and tell me if it's a killer I walk out. You know, have that aggressive texture. You know, have that epic something that got happen. You know, have that this is the prime time thing. And that's the depth, you know, because, brother, there's nothing we can't play. But when we play it, the magic happen because we understand why, where, how, who, what. All of those questions we answer, you know, and the decisions we make are based on that. So that killer stuff, that killer stint of like 6 years, 7 years, was that I think I take away that first. Then one killer kind of pull up. Killer take him 19 months break and him no on tour and two things mash up our band here.
Yeah.
Woman and money. It's a cardinal rule. I'm not gonna sleep with German woman. I'm not gonna sleep with German wife. If German like the girl, I'm not gonna trouble her. If German like the girl, if me like the girl, and the girl like Jummy gonna tell me, say, brother, that girl that we are pre, she like me. Yeah. And money. You have to keep your bands working. When all is said and done, life is happening and we need to pay our bills.
For sure.
And man, I have 2 and 3 picnic for baby mother, this, that house to buy, phone that come in or phone bill for pay, whatever. So if you even can book a 6-month tour with the artist, nobody know when them fry egg, you book it and keep them on them moving. Yeah, so Killer was doing that kind of work. But then at the time, he was doing the kind of work where he's not really working. Him work when him feel like and him pick him shows at random. And must say him not punk out my thing, and not water down my thing. But what's happening though is we're Killer's band, but we still at jump hurdles and a lot of hurdles with Vegas, a lot of hurdles with Spragga, a lot of hurdles with Frisco, a lot of hurdles with Rainy Wonder, whole of Meadow School, whole of Main Street crew. Man, remember them camp them. One time a real camp where I read them come out and 15 artists in the camp and 15 top songs.
Everybody's on it.
Yes, and the whole Caribbean. So me I go Antigua 7 times for the year, me I go Trinidad 4 times for the year with different artists. We have got some place where when you reach, you say, Cameroon at the Chinese restaurant on 53rd and 32nd Street when the Yellow Walk now. And Joe me I say, we are this time. I say, yo, the ice, the shrimp, oyster sauce, black so I eat me, I go for it, man. I say, yo, you know, say, earn my belly. I say, that I yo, me love it. So before we even reach at the restaurant, we know we got order. We were so regular there.
Yeah.
We know, you know, when I see that girl at this time, I say, oh, we're going to go on the summer. Can I see him hotel there? Oh, we're going to go on the summer. Yeah, it was that bad. So we're jumping all these hurdles, all of these acts. So even though Killer stopped working, it wasn't working as often. We had all of these shows to do, but then we had this toggle where even though there was still a short supply of band as per the demand, Spragga was in an uncomfortable position. He wanted some show and he can't book for the show because when the show we have a date with Killer and Killer said, my next week will tell you and next week come and I'll tell you. And the time I run off and you know want to go book the show with Spragga and Killer said, yeah man, good and thing. So that was our issue. So when we said to Killer, because you had Killer, Beenie, Caput and Sizzler, everybody had a band. 4 top man, 4 bands. Blaze with Beenie, Caput and having band, Sizzler of Firehouse, Ruff Kutt and Killer. So Killer, in my estimation, was looking at it as saying, when we said let's the letter of resignation for these reasons, he must say, yeah, man, everything good. Because him know say a 4-man there at the top. And everybody else have them band. So when he ready for Ruff Kutt, and we told him, when you're at work, you can call me. And I like, we're done with that, we never talk to you again. Kind of thing. What changed the dynamic was when Beenie and Blaze mash up. So remember say, that is a staple, you know.
Yeah.
And then Beenie and Blaze just mash up and man them say, hey. Ruff Kutt, you know. And Patrick called me and I say, hey, and the man put on a big guacamole and say, well, book you for the next year. And me I say, no, I just push back the money. Man, I say, what kind of madman this?
Yeah.
And I say, why am I say, Virgin? You realize that Garrison versus Garrison is not just about playing music, you know. Bounty Killer is a movement, a Middleman is a movement. And people see around and stab you up, brother. And break it down to him. And I say, yeah, oh, we're going to do this. And I say, me don't know, you know. And the man them, as the staff, I don't know how you had meeting after meeting. So, he had many steves of Ruff Kutt, you know. You saw when we really find BSC. We go through a whole different set of rehearsal. Now we used to book rehearsal where we alone and we just play artists and we run the artist show. And we pick rhythm out and we listen rhythm. And I'm gonna listen back this and I'm gonna listen back that and I'm gonna say, I could try this and I could try that. Remember, so Ruff Kutt single-handedly name and enhance every kind of mixing a dance hall. It was so bad that we played some things to Spragga. And in the rehearsal and in mind blown and here, like that thing. And I said, Jummy, 2 half or 7s and this and that. And he'll go into the next rehearsal with a band and I said, give me the 2 half. And he said, what is that? I said, no, 2 half, man.
Yeah. Nope.
And him don't know what to do, you know. He must say, that's something, man. What's sweet something Ruff Kutt? Don't know that's something. I said, don't know that's something. The way I talk about. So that's the kind of impact we had on the thing. Then, long and short, and Killer pull up, start work with Beenie. And that was another great stint. I'll tell you, I think it was our most successful stint. We're doing 12 shows a month easily. Every weekend we have 3 shows. Every weekend. And I think that was when the fruits of Mirage really started to pop off. Start to bear, and the mango tree laden. And guess what? The mango tree laden and the mango not drop and rock, you know. We are pick everyone. We are pick every mango. And the blossom no blow off. Every blossom turn into a mango. And every mango get picked. Because you want no. We had the 2 months with Beenie, man. 56 shows in a month. Every single show of extra artists. Beenie man with Vegas, Beenie man with Ghost, Beenie man with this, Beenie man with that, Beenie man that. So Beenie man a pay with, and then the promoter for pay for the next section of the show. And we are come off of the euphoria of being the band, killer band, and it's still fresh in the people head say. A band's a band still and a killer them monks and a killer them grew one more time. We have to say Shabba Ranks really. And the man said, blood clot, a body of history. Right now we say, we in at the game, brother. We in at the game. And I think it was the most productive time. It was in New York till me sick.
Yeah, because those times, New York, that was outside of Jamaica. New York was the epicenter of reggae and dancehall.
Yes. And then Miami comes second because,
Mm-hmm.
but brother,
Mm-hmm.
from Shabba Ranks Day, we have to have big a couple of days off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I come off a tour. And by the time you reach home, man. Okay, I remember one particular time. Them time I never have no youth yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we got home like maybe 12:30. And our house phone man get called up and say you're after at the airport by 4. Remember, you just come off a tour with a bug of dirty clothes, no brother. And you just see your woman after 6 weeks.
Hmm.
And who have Pitney, them Pitney asleep, and the woman said, don't wake them. I see them in the morning. And by the time you say clean, the house phone ring, and it ring and drink, I don't really want to answer it. And when you answer, the man I say, yo, airport 4 o'clock in the morning. I say, what you say?
God.
I say, yeah, and the man I say, chum, clad in one vex that day up on the bed. And you said, Jesus Christ, before wake them Pitney.
Mm-hmm.
What if I could traumatize them? That was the kind of life we're living.
In and out. So even when you're doing all of this here now, when did you connect with Shaggy?
That's a whole nother ball. It's a whole nother ball. You just finish the Beenie man something. Right after this, no. Right after this, we did a show.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 95 sting or 90? I think it was 95 sting.
Mm-hmm.
For the 95 sting and 98 sting. I think it's more 1998 sting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Them time there, Shaggy had drive the little white Swift, little Suzuki Swift. And Specialist and Robert Livingston are close.
Mm-hmm.
Mentor each other. They mean the thing because Robert used to manage Super Cat. My man is Shaggy now. Shabba Specialist thing. So them in the New York, some them man they talk to record companies, and them man they do remixes, and them man they do crossover music.
Mm-hmm.
And one day Robert Livingston says, no, one day Shaggy Specialist says, I'm gonna send you and Prince around the Anchor recording studio for help Shaggy, right? Went up at Anchor recording, and I guess he may have had writer's block or was just diversifying because a lot of production has to be variety and capturing the different energies in the ethos of the space at the time. So that's how we really start link. And then the Shaggy have him little, as me saying, like a white Suzuki Swift, and we used to par. And then in the Carolina already, and them something. So that's how we really start. We really start to work because Specialists sent us to work with him as per the request of Robert Livingston.
And this was for production.
This was just we are try write some song, we are try make some rhythm. That whole songwriting and production thing. Yeah, that was the introduction to that. We did some bomb now, and we did me and my par good now, and then we are gonna stay. I say Shaggy, love the culture. I get to you, know. All the girls them say brown and pretty and them talk good. I don't go heap you. So I love the culture and love it. Shaggy was one of the persons that cemented my theories from early days that we're not really selling music, we're selling culture. We're so immersed in culture. When you look at Shaggy is Mr. Jamaica, Mr. Caribbean boy, Mr. Gilligan's Island, even look at Gilligan's Island hot. When you see Shaggy, you expect to see a pina colada and I'm on with a little umbrella. So the man come at the hardcore thing now, we kill at him heights. Play the bad overture, the man. Michael Jackson call you. Ding, da 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 da. I say, hey, yo, yellow, good morning. I sing a tear it. Middle of the intro. Killer enough to start DJ before we go sling. Killer for run out and DJ when we do sling thing.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, Killer as the artist look out there and him start DJ like 2 songs before, two sections of the intro
Mhm.
before Sling Thing to play, before Mission to play, whatever it was. And we have to switch right away.
Mm.
And Shaggy stood up behind me on my riser. He stood up behind me. If you watch that Sting clip there, Killer, I'll turn one time and say, the big man, them Shaggy. Wait. It was right behind me on the riser. And Shaggy watched me direct and communicate with Jummy and Basie and everybody. And as a musician, him know say Killer Mr. Q.
Mhm.
And him say, we'll fix it in record time. I was like, whoa. Nigel, I need you in my band.
Hmm.
Oh my God, I can't come with your band. I'm Ruff Kutt. And the man vex. Shaggy never talked to me for about 3 years, brother.
Wow.
3 full years the man vex with me.
Mhm.
And I chat to me. Yeah, man, it's earthy. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, around the same time, or just before, Ricardo Descent, Rick Rock. We know Rick Rock from Manchester high school days. Rick Rock is a year younger than me.
Okay.
He was 2 classes behind me. So when I was in 5th form, he was in 3rd form.
Mhm.
And at 5th form, I'm 15. 3rd form, he's 14. And whenever I used to like him, pretty Indian looking boy in the latest Reebok. Always neat, as I get always a ace in exams. Ricardo was the head boy of Manchester High School when he came up to 5th form, 6th form, whatever. That's how much of a teacher's pet and a good kid he was. So when he reached a UE, I mean, even though I stopped the school now at UE, you know, I'm a tour. Still up there, my sisters up there, and all of them something there, me a power with my friend them when I come UE with, when I know from Mandeville and me the man. Yeah. Ricky used to always say to me, Ricky used to always say, I write songs. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this little darky kid? What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, yeah, I write songs. I'm like, all right, cool. See me next time, yo, I write songs, you know, like, And one day he just got to me and I said, you write songs? He's like, yes. Them time there, me doing a Mikey Bennett, which is our next school, brother. The amount of school me going in a Jamaica.
Hmm.
How much Ghana music me there round, Brian and Tony Gold. Well, we say, you write songs? And he's like, yeah. And I said, let me hear a song. And the man go in his pocket and take out one little book like this. Mother cut it in a 8, and I fold it, and fold it, and fold it, and get like 8 pages out of that page. I'm right, small, you know. So one song hold on one eye page, you know. And him alone can read that, you know. You know, it's small, you know, brother. And the man, sing the song. I think I'm almost sure the first song he sang was I feel the waves come crashing through the door. And so I wait for love or something like that. And when the man sing this, like him just look at the paper, there's no rhythm there, no, cause it's not the era where you just sit down and write song and then you make music to it. So it's not, you get a rhythm and you write it. And I think Shaggy was really instrumental in us learning that writing style.
Okay.
And the man just sing the song, I'm saying, you write that? And the man say, yes. And me I say, come. I came straight down a Grafton Road, 2B Grafton Road. I said, Mikey Bennett, listen to brother. And man, stick out, look at something, man. And like he reads it first, and when he reads it, he knows the melody. Just so epic to me. And he just think, and if a man said, boom, oh, Claude, what kind of man this? Mikey say, yeah, man, him bad. Let me hear another one. And the man really laugh more. 7. And the man, and Mikey said, no, man, the man is good. And Mikey said to us that day, you have a lot of people that write a one good song and they can't repeat it. And the man have one little something, someone about 500,000 songs and everything the man. So I mean, I said, what kind of man this? So I saw the pairings that happen. Meanwhile, you know, Brian and Tony Gold and them sing harmony for every song in our world. Come out of Jamaica. And around them time, them are singing for Shaggy on stage, if my memory serves me correctly. And they're working in the studio with him. So I saw the whole synergy farm. We are par, Brian Gold, we play football every day up at UE. Rick Rock there at UE. Me, they up there. We are toured. So the whole thing came together. So one day we just get up and start, right? Cause Shaggy, him have bombastic and him have this with the song with Maxi Priest. That girl. So Shaggy are doing thing and him a get back in him elemental. We are working in Brian and work. So the whole of the start part. Got thing done set already. We just don't say, all right, man, leave Thursday, whatever. We are into songwriting mode and rhythm making mode. Cause we start make rhythm from early in a Ruff Kutt, because man like John Jammy's son, awful. Man say, them something when I do on stage and we need a rhythm like this and we need that and thing. And so I ended up in the studio a lot, playing for a lot of people, specialists to Robert Livingston to this, that. So that was kind of how, as I said, the market required and you just get pushed into the thing. As a kid, I'll tell you this. I never used to listen to words at all.
Yeah.
I can tell you everything sound-wise that happens in a song. But I couldn't tell you what was being said. And the more I love the song, is the more I don't know the words. Because I get such a rush and such a high from the
Because you're
music.
feeling it.
I'd have to literally stop and force myself to listen to the lyrics and fight that high. That's why, as somebody's never smoked and I drink, before my strokes, as I can't drink and I get drunk, I can hold my liquor. But that high that I get from music was epic. You ever see Ghost?
Yes.
And when the music bite him and drop all the mic and hold him head, I saw music affect me.
You feel it in a different, completely different way.
And me co-produce and co-write Longing For by Jackie One.
What?
And every single time I hear that song, I'm full of goosebumps. The man have a thing when say, girl, just like magnet to steal your love. It's like, love. To me, it's just the wickedest place you could ever take the melody. And every time I hear it, I feel like something pop in my head. We toured Cure from like 2007 to probably 2010.
Before we
Every single tour, every single show, when we go longing for, but I need that.
just felt different. Before we even get into that, I want to know in the Shaggy situation, how you guys came up with that epic diamond selling song. It wasn't me. That's what I want to know.
All right, so Hot Shot album was a really good production and songwriting process. Sean Sting Pizzona, Robert Livingston, no matter body trick, you know, decide truth. All them something that when them put out, Shaggy them must say this and that, when them expertly write out certain key points. Shaggy have a way, Shaggy have a friend, but him have this way of making it seem as if he did everything. He didn't do everything. Robert Livingston was critical. Sting is critical. Brian and Tony go critical. Rick Rock is critical. Raven is critical. Birch is critical. I am critical. So we wrote 42 songs and they chose 14.
What?
And each of those 42 songs were at least written 3 times. You hear me say to you, 42 songs, they chose 14. And each of those 42 songs were written at least 3 times. And Wasn't Me came off the album and came on like 3 times. So when Sting send you a beat, there's nothing in the beat. This is like a groove. Maybe like a Sting beat have like 5 sounds, 3 sounds. Like sounds. And sounds like a hi-hat is a sound, a kick drum is a sound, a snare is a sound. So 3 out of the 5 sounds are the drums. But what that did was that gave you space to bring the melodies anywhere. And that also gave you the space to structure the song however you wanted to structure it. So if you felt like you wanted to start with a chorus, you could, or a verse. And so those decisions were not musical decisions. Those decisions were based on crafting the record. So how should I put this? So when you have a song starting with a chorus, it's because you look at the songs that are in the top of the Billboard charts, the songs with the same kind of themes, message, concepts, and say, okay, I want to write a song about mirrors. So when you look at Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, or when you look at the name, Lil Wayne and Bruno Mars, Mirror. Both of them start with a verse. And don't think that's a coincidence. Because in the 3rd verse or the 2nd verse, Lil Wayne says, Michael Jackson taught me that. So you know, say, him a pre-man in the mirror.
Yeah.
When him a write the song. And in pre-man in the mirror, him pay attention to the song format, the melody, the key, the this, the that, the whatever. Anyway. So, we're there in New York. And I met the songs on, I forget the record company guy name. I can't remember. Hans. So we at the studio and thing, and Shaggy I said, yo, we'll go up on the road. We're ready for par. I said, no, man, stay with Sting. I phrase a couple things. And that night, well, it wasn't me. But here's what Sting did, which was disingenuous. It still is disingenuous. But I get it. So the groove is there. Ting, boom, ting, 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 boom, ting. I'm like, yo, that's cool. Write the song, whatever. And so we phrase up and we're putting meaning on the music, though. And so Sting is like saying, give me something that goes da, na, na, na. I'm like, okay. And think with the strings, put the horns on it kind of thing. Like, no, don't play that note. Like, and people like Sting, people like Tony Kelly, people like Dave Kelly really reinforce the simplicity of dancehall and Jamaican music. Because as musicians, we tend to want to play for other musicians. So we don't want to play the simple chords. And we don't tend to respect the space of the melody. So he was really precise in humming those phrases. Little did I know, or anybody know at the time, that it's an old record that he has in his head. So it's like him telling me to play slang thing rhythm, and I've never heard slang thing rhythm before.
Got you.
So you're like playing you're like, yo, this is cool. All right, let me do. But you never know a slang thing rhythm because it's a song that's on the B side of a record in the past. And he's like, okay, and I'm like, okay, cool. If we do this, let me do this. And then so all the phrases that I played and came up with are original phrases, not coming from that. Right? And basically that's how the record came together. Because I was really literally there when they finished writing the lyrics. Okay, you know, I have to go on to and come on thing and thing. But the music part of it. Same thing with Angel. I saying to Sting, let's put the phrase here, and I'm like, no, keeping it raw, keeping it street. Them kind of that was a level of production at a time when a man just either have a lyrics done right already, or we try and make a rhythm around it, and if it work, it work. If it don't work, it work. Or a man make a rhythm and killer the pony and say, yo, killer the pony, we have the pony. This was real songwriting, and real songwriting with purpose and direction, and the right decisions were being made for the right reasons. So basically, at one point, the song came off the album, and no lie, Shaggy believed in the record. Tonta and Levante voiced the record. And then they gonna use it again. Then them take it off again. And then them put it on. I got put on at last minute. The vocals that Rick Rock did are demo vocals. Because by the time they're saying, yes, it's on the fucking album now, Rick Rock can need a voice. Rick Rock is now on tour. And they just couldn't find the time to voice it. So the vocals that sold 15 million records is demo. Well, guess what happened? Those demos were so real. It's like when you hear Ricky on the record, it sounds like him will really get catching him. It sounds like him will really get. I must say, brother, you know something good. Just find me with a bang on whatever. I must say, what for do. And that realness is what happened. So that was how those records were made. That real songwriting process, and that has like stuck with me because it cemented a whole lot of things that we're doing, but we never knew why we were doing that.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? And then
makes sense.
I I use the same kind of formula, because really a formula, working with Sean.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I was going to ask you next. Let's talk about Sean. How did you even link up with Sean Paul in the first place?
All right, Sean went to Bel Air. I went to Bel Air, but we went at 2 different times. So I never really knew Sean in the high school setting. I knew Sean through Dirty Cup.
Okay.
Because when we were doing Mirage is in Ligani, Dirty Cup farm in Sandy Park, and that's where they used to hang out, which is just on the road. It takes you 4 minutes, literally, walking at normal place. From Sovereign to Sandy Park. Then they have chicken, you have Corrupt, Daddy Gun, and every Tuesday night, Johnny live at Sandy Park, them live at Sandy Park. So it's one big exodus to Mirage at night time. And every week that we performed there, Dirty Cup was there, the man them was there, and Chicken there, and Sham there. 1 ton of hotness, 10 ton of fatness. And Chicken, what Chicken I sing again? Chicken a DJ, can't remember that now. Anyway, and Sean was always there. And they used to come to the side of the stage and say, yo, we can get a run, dog. And I say, yeah, man, what you mean, man? And I said, Chicken, 2 songs. Don't bother with the 6th song I hear the new lyrics there. If you're going to do that something, no. Because I'm the man at the side of the stage, near to where the artists are. Because I'm wide, nearer to when you're coming off the stage. So I'm the easiest person to come and whisper something in their ears, in my ears, you know? And I say, all right, 2 songs. I'm going to give you, Baby Girl, Don't Cry No More. I'm going to give you Playground or whatever it was at the time. And, all right, want to put on the rhythm or whatever it was. And I used to always talk to them good. Like with every artist called Paul Hamilton teach me that something. You could have named Michael Jackson. You see, if you come third to the rehearsal, and fry egg come before you and dumpling man Michael Jackson, have to wait, till fry egg and dumpling man rehearse whatever them are rehearse, then you get your time. Killer, you can't come in and say through my name, Killer. Me have to rehearse now. Ruff Kutt not play that. So that was kind of how we kind of formed that musical setting with Sean through Mirage. And I'll never forget this. We're having a disco. They have a VIP lounge in Mirage where Brian Gold used to play pool. Brian Gold is a very good pool and billiards player. Okay. The man a gambler when you hold the whole of your rent money in a pool. Really the wicked run a pool world. And I never forget Carlette Dillion and Claudette Powell. I was having a conversation with them. And we're talking about the performances. And I said, Sean can't perform. And Claudette says, yeah, no, but he's so fucking cute. And Carla's like, yeah, he's so cute. Man, what cute now? Nothing to do with the performance. Like, yeah, but he's just cute though. He's handsome. Okay. And that stuck with me, kind of stuck with me. And it's a very important piece of the puzzle, sorry. Very important piece of the puzzle of being an artist. That's one of the boxes you need to check. A lot of people don't agree with it, but it's the way it is. Anyway, so that's how we and Sean kind of got close. We never really saw much of each other. Never did much shows together because Sean wasn't that performer that every show he was on. But he's getting his shows, he's doing his thing, he's growing. By this time, me and Don Carly won't link up now. Me and Don Carly and I do. We like Jamaica like Stevie and Cleary.
This podcast is brought to you by www.epicccc.com. www.twolinedmusichut.com.